you as the seller are getting paid to take on risk. If you don't understand anything else, that is the summary of it. Hey guys, welcome back to another video. This was a crazy week. I think the news has slowed down a bit, so today I want to show you how I made money off of such a crazy week, specifically regarding Tesla, because when there's uncertainty, volatility is high, and when volatility is high, options premiums are high, and you can make more money selling them. This is actually currently my favorite strategy, and it's called a strangle, where you sell a call and sell a put with the same expiration date. I'm going to go through exactly what it is, my actual positions that I placed, and walk you through the full strategy so you could try it for yourself. Now, I know not everybody has the luxury of being able to do Tesla strangles, but this strategy could apply to any company that you own 100 shares of. Basically, a strangle is when you sell a call out of the money and you make that premium, and then simultaneously you sell a put way out of the money. So as you can see here, this is the history of all the trades I've made this week, but I simplified it here. So you can see this is one strangle. I sold a Tesla call at $780, meaning that Tesla would have to shoot up to $780, meaning that I gave someone else the right to buy my shares at $780 come October 30th. I basically give away my power. I don't have the rights to these shares anymore. But I have to get something back, right? If they are in control of my shares, if they can just call it away at $780, what do I get? I get something called a premium. And this was the premium I got, $917.31. Now, $780 is very, very high. Tesla's current share price is hovering around $400. So my calculation is that by October 30th, I don't think Tesla is going to reach $780. And that is my profit zone as long as it stays under the call strike price of $780. The person buying it though thinks there is a chance. He must think there's a chance. That's the only way this option would have value to him. My worst case scenario is if Tesla shoots up way past 780. Imagine by October 30th, it is $1,000. So I have 100 shares worth $1,000 each, $100,000 worth of shares. But now I can't sell them for $100,000. I actually can only sell them for $78,000 or $780 times 100 because they have the right. So they can buy my shares at a discount for them. And I lose all of that potential profit, that $22,000 difference. Does that make sense? Let me know if that makes sense. But that is the call side of the strangle. Now, the put side of the strangle is I'm selling somebody the right to sell their shares at $280 to me. I have to buy their shares at $280 if the price of Tesla falls below $280. Now, again, I'm giving away my right? I don't have control of these shares if they fall under this strike price. So what am I getting in return? I'm getting this premium, which is $846.31. So my best case scenario is as long as it stays above this strike price by October 30th, all this money is mine to keep. My worst case scenario, and there is a worst case scenario, is if Tesla drops to zero. That is actually the worst case scenario. Now, if Tesla drops to zero, now this other person has the right to sell me 100 Tesla shares at $280 each. So I will have to buy 100 of his shares for $28,000, 280 times 100, $28,000, even though Tesla is worth zero right now. So my worst case scenario is that I'm down $28,000, which is terrible. But again, in my calculation, for it to drop down to 280, the current share price is 400. It would have to see like a 30-40% drop, which is very, very unlikely. Now, I'm not just ballparking these numbers. So there is something called a delta. And a delta is one of the Greek symbols that tell you about what are your chances of being in the money or out of the money. And you could see it. I'm just going to choose a random thing. You could see it right here. That is the delta in Robinhood if you're trading options. Now, for me, I am a very conservative investor, especially for Tesla, or conservative player, conservative trader, whatever you want to say. So when I sold this call, the delta for this was under 10. Now, what under 10 means? It's a pretty close correlation of the chance it would be in the money. So if the delta is exactly at 10, that means this call has a 10% chance of being in the money. And when I say in the money, it's always from the buyer of the contract's perspective. So if it's in the money for them, that means I lose, kind of. That means this contract has value. That means I would have to give away my shares. But there's only a 10% chance that occurs. Same with the put. The delta was less than 10, so there's a less than 10% chance that the price of Tesla would drop below 280 by October 30th. I like to sell calls and puts between 5 and 10 delta. Now, the premiums for that is a lot less. Now, I don't want to like shortchange this. This is a lot of money. But if you were to sell calls with a higher chance of being in the money, let's say like a 27 delta, so there's a 27% chance of this being in the money, basically 27% chance of me quote unquote losing, you could get $1,800. That's way, way more than this. But I don't want to get my shares called away. I want to be able to sleep and go about my day in peace without having to constantly check, oh my gosh, is it rising up $100 today? Is it going to hit my strike price? Is it going to get called away? So I don't like to play between 20 and 30 deltas, at least not right now and not on Tesla. Even though between 20 and 30 delta, the premiums are so much higher. To put it simply, the more risk you take, having to either sell your shares away at a certain price or buy them at a certain price, the higher the chance that you are forced to do something, the more you get paid. Because essentially, you as the seller are getting paid to take on risk. If you don't understand anything else, that is the summary of it. The way I am playing, I'm taking the least amount of risk possible while making a decent enough return. And that is a strangle. As long as you understand how to sell a call and how that works, and if you also understand how to sell a put and how that works, just combine those two ideas together, that's a strangle. Now, the awesome thing about a strangle is that even though I'm playing stuff between 5 and 10 delta and the premiums aren't that high versus what I could actually get if I were to take riskier positions, because I'm taking both, I can make money on both sides of it. And you have to remember that a strangle actually, even though if the price were to stay pretty neutral, that's great. Like, I don't want it to change too much. That means it's not touching my call and it's not touching my put. Eventually, I'll make the full premiums on both amounts. But it actually is a directional play because you have the choice of where you sell your put and where you sell your call. So you could sell them equidistant from where its current price is right now. But ultimately, you don't necessarily want to do that because you want to think about what direction do you predict it's going to trend. If you think it's going to trend up, then you could probably sell the put a little bit higher or closer to its current price. If you think it's going to trend down, you don't have to sell a call at $800 if you think Tesla's going to fall down. You can sell it a little bit less, maybe $700 or even $650 if you believe that's the direction it's going. So this is a directional play. And also another really important thing to know is that weeklies are not necessarily safe. So you can see that I sold these September 22nd for October 30th. That is nearly 40 days out. Now, the reason I sold it that far out is because if you are just selling weeklies, and that just means, buying and selling on Monday and then closing your positions on Friday, you kind of have to be right. It's more of a gamble. Any one day drop, you could get your shares called away or you could be forced to buy something. But if you have positions much further out, it's less about luck and it's more about discipline and strategy because you have much more time to manage your trades. And also, you can pull the strike prices farther out. If I were just to do a 1 week strangle, I wouldn't be able to select this 280 put and still get a decent premium. I would probably have to choose a 350 put or a 700 call. They're just not that wide because nobody wants to buy calls or puts that are impossible. It's just going to be closer together and more likely to get called. But the longer out in time that you set the expiration date, the wider you can make your strangle. So I learned all this from Tasty Trades, but I've also experienced it myself. I'm never going to expect myself to collect 100% of the premium because that would require me to keep it until expiration. That just doesn't make sense. So you can see here that when I actually sold this call on September 22nd, this would be the full amount of premium I made, $970.31, if it expired on October 30th. So more than a month out. But actually, just the very next day, September 23rd, I was able to close out this position at more than 50% profit. You see, October 30th, 780 call at 3.9 October. This was the call, right? And the reason I was able to close it out so fast is because that's when Tesla stock, it tanked after battery day, and the 780 call just seemed impossible because the shares were at like 370 at some point. So because the market felt like 780 was impossible, this call that person bought, it's basically became worth a lot less because there just seemed to be very little chance that this coupon would, be valuable by the time it's October 30th. Because I'm a seller and not a buyer, that means I could buy the coupon back at this discounted rate and just take my profit. I profited over $500, and that was just a 1-day play. Now, I took the profit, and what I did the next day was I waited to see if the stock would tick back up, and it eventually did. And I sold another call for the same expiration date and took another $549 premium. And that's basically what I plan on doing for all parts of these strangles. So one day, if Tesla were to drop really aggressively and I see that one of my puts is reached 50% profit, that's when I'm going to take profit. This is pretty magical if you really think about it. Instead of having to hold this position for more than 35 more days just to make 50%, I made 50% of it in one day. And that's why giving yourself more time, putting those expiration dates further out, and also actively managing your trades is so important. That's how you just make more money. Real quick, I also want to just show you just how the positions are currently doing. So as of right now, because Tesla luckily has stayed fairly neutral, so these are 2 puts. If I wanted to close them out, I would have to buy back the put. I would have made $455 here for these 2 calls with different strike prices. If I close them out, I can make about $250 here. Now you can see that this is the call I placed September 22nd. That's the first call. I'm still waiting for it. It's almost at 50% profit, and I'm going to take it there. And then this was the new call that I placed after I closed out my first call. And you can see the strike price for this is much lower, but because when I sold it at the time, the price was much lower. So this is my new rolled position. But yeah, that's how powerful it is. I could close this out now, and then just selling strangles on my 200 Tesla shares today, I would have made $1,000, more than $1,000. Okay, this video was a lot longer than I thought. There's a lot of things to explain, and I had to kind of think about it. But if that was helpful, please consider liking and subscribing. If you know exactly what I'm talking about, let me know what your strategy is, what you like to do. If you still don't really understand what I'm saying, it's okay. It takes time to process in. I had to watch probably 50 videos and do a bunch of trades myself before it actually started to sink in. But yeah, just keep grinding. Let me know if you have any questions. I'll try my best to answer them. Thank you so much for watching. This is Green Knight Trading, where Squires become Knights. I appreciate you, and I'll see you all next time.